Hello, I'm John Grom, and welcome to our 256th Right and Left Discussion Forum. We hold our discussions twice monthly to demonstrate the value of civil, productive, open-minded political dialogue. Today, our panel will give their thoughts on President-elect Donald Trump's choices for the cabinet and other key positions. Today's panel begins with Susan Hanlon, member of the Wadsworth City Council and retired Dean of the College of Business at the University of Akron. Then Patty Haskins, former member of the Wadsworth City Council and retired math teacher at Wadsworth Senior High. Then Bryan Laubaugh, president of R&D Financial Services. Susan, the question is just simply straightforward. What do you think about President Trump's choices for his cabinet and other key positions?
So I think that most of them are fine. I looked at 29 positions, some of them cabinet positions, and then just some of these, the key directors of things. And I came up with like 8 of them that I think are very questionable and kind of, out of left field. But, that's 8 out of 29. That's not bad. I also came up with about 6 that I think are very good, and that you're hearing, that people are saying, that they're getting support across the aisle. They're getting support from the constituents that they would lead. And the rest of them, I think, are just, what presidents do. They're a lot of them are from that think tank, that America First Policy Institute. A lot of them have a connection to that. They're big donors. They're people who help raise money. They're people that are going to be loyal to him. There's women. There's one openly gay person. There's, I think, at least one African American, an Indian. So I mean, it's pretty much what I expected. I think it's better than he did the first time, to be honest. Although I really couldn't, go through and, compare each one. But so, I think the key will be if he doesn't have musical chairs, and I think another thing you have to remember about job performance, because that's an area I did research in for years, academic research. The best predictor of job performance is not experience. The best predictor of success on the job and of high job performance is cognitive ability. So I don't know what all these people's cognitive ability is, but I'm assuming they're not stupid or they wouldn't have gotten as far as they are. So, I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not wringing my hands over his appointments.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about his personality? I've heard a lot of criticism about the fact that he's got sort of like an emperor complex, and that he's had a history of looking at people who don't totally agree with him and dismissing them.
Yeah, and I think he does. So I mean, what can you say? He does, and that is not productive. I don't think it's productive. I mean, but if that's your North Star, is that you demand loyalty and you demand people that agree with you, that's what it is. It's not, especially, like I said, it might be good sometimes. If you're swimming upstream, maybe you need people to swim upstream with you. But it could be bad if it creates blinders, and you refuse to look at anything else. I still think, and I said this, I think on our last program, and she might only last 6 months and I'll look like a fool, but I think his chief of staff is going to be the saving grace. I mean, I think that Susie Wiles, and there's a handful of people in here that have connections to her. So I think they know how to handle him. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
that's sort of a classic thing is, yes, your boss manages you, but you have to know how to manage your boss too. And if these are people, like a handful of them were on his transition committee. I mean, they worked in his orbit before. And so, hopefully everyone's not just on a power trip. Hopefully they really want to get a job done, and they're smart, and they will be able to manage him and be able to work with him. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to hear from our resident Democrat. Patty, what are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, ideologically, I am not going to agree with all of the candidates, but that's not the issue here. Trump won the election, and he is going to pick those people that agree with him. And I understand that. And then with the advising consent of the Senate, they will be chosen. I think the big concern I have is whether or not they are qualified or have the abilities to handle the job. For example, Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, I think is an excellent choice. There's no one that would say he's not qualified to do that job. And I think we'll probably do a decent job with it. I was horribly offended by the original nomination of Matt Gaetz. Fortunately, he did finally drop out. Now, Pam Bondi I have some questions about her, but I don't think there's anyone sitting here that would say that she's not qualified. She has served in that position in Florida. She knows what she's doing. And I think from his standpoint, he'd be a good job. Doug Burgum for the Secretary of the Interior. Lori Chavez Damier for the Secretary of Labor, I think is an excellent choice. And there's quite a few others like Susan. I think that most of them were good nominations and should be nominated and probably will be with little difficulty. There are some that to me are just so far out of the realm of reasonable that they should not be confirmed. Obviously Matt Gaetz was one, but he stepped down. I have big concerns with Pete Hegseth. There is, one of the problems I think Trump made was not to do an appropriate vetting of the candidates before he made the nominations. And now he's doing it, and he's running into problems which he doesn't really or shouldn't need to have. I mean, there's questions about Hegseth as far as a sexual charge that has been made against him in the past, comments by his mother on that line, many that have stated that he has a drinking problem, and his assurance now that if he gets the job as Secretary of Defense, he'll quit drinking. That's a little concerning to me. In other words, he's got a problem and he'll just stop, though, if he becomes Secretary of Defense. That's a little difficult. Information that he, as the head of two veterans organizations, but there were some financial discrepancies and that there were some other charges, then basically drove those organizations into the ground, and he was not able to run them. And to go from ruining those organizations to handling one of the largest departments in the country, I think is really difficult. I also have problems with Bobby Kennedy Jr. I don't understand that selection in any way, shape, or form. This is a man, some really strange things he's done in the past and said. He has, his stand on vaccines, on measles. There's some information about going to Samoa and, promoting Samoa in 2019 and promoting the not using the measles vaccine, after which they had a huge breakout of measles and caused many deaths there. The fact that he is a recovering heroin addict, and that doesn't seem to bother Trump in putting him in there. And the thing that worries me more is that Kennedy has said, yeah, I did use heroin, but in my case, it wasn't bad because it actually helped me think clearer. And that's a little scary when you think about it. His entire medical team, Dr. Oz, who's he is heading up for the Medicare, he's charge of Medicare and Medicaid. The man wants to privatize Medicare.
Dr. Oz wouldn't do that. That'd be under Kennedy. That's
Well, they're putting Oz in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. That's his position he's putting him in. And, plus, all the junk that he has proposed. Dr. David Weldon for the head of the CDC. This is the man that during COVID proposed using herd immunity. The FDA appointment, the Surgeon General. Those are all positions which I think are difficult. Another thing Kennedy has pushed for is he feels that he's actually hawking a supplement for people to take to get rid of the bad effects of COVID vaccines. So in other words, if you got the COVID vaccine, you have all these things that are hurting you now, and I'm going to give you this supplement that's going to take away all the bad ideas. I mean, this junk science that's going on out there is a little bit difficult. Linda McMahon is head of the Department of Education. Yeah, she did serve on I think it was the Connecticut State Board of Education, but she had to step down from that when they found out that she lied about her qualifications for the job. She has no qualifications for that job. Chris Wright for engineering, Tulsi Gabbard as director of national intelligence. There's a lot of question about how well she can handle intelligence. The Office of Budget and Management, I think it's Christopher Vough, Vough, and he is one of the co-authors of Project 2025. Mm-hmm. Trump said, "Oh, I don't have anything to do with 2025. I'm not going to go along with it." Yet he wants to appoint someone to that budget who actually wrote that. A gentleman by the name of Long, I can't think of his first name, from Missouri, who he wants to, set in charge of the IRS. Well, Long has stated and for years has wanted to abolish the IRS. The nomination of Jared Kushner's father to be ambassador to France. Now, not that important a position, but let's face it, Kushner's father was in jail. He is a felon. And there were some pretty nasty charges against him. Trump pardons him and then rewards him by giving him an ambassadorship to France. It seems to me that his biggest, criteria for becoming a member of the cabinet or in this White House is at first loyalty to him. Second, that you have a great deal of money. There are more billionaires and ultra millionaires in this cabinet choice than any other. And third, that you worked for Fox News. If you go down through this list, over half of these people have worked at Fox News, whether it's Duffy or Dr. Oz or Pete Hegseth or I'm trying to think of all. They've all been there. So those shouldn't be the qualifying.
Well, they tend to, swing from the right hand.
But it doesn't, just because you're on Fox News doesn't mean that you're qualified to run these organizations.
It means you're a Republican. Yeah. Bryan, what are your thoughts? You sitting there patiently listening to everybody else?
Yes. Well, I think to just counter a little bit. I understand where Patty's coming from, but when you look at anyone's picks, I looked at the cabinet picks. I feel pretty good about most of them. But the other positions that she talked about, there were plenty of people in Biden's and Obama's administration that came from CNN and CBS and MSNBC and all that kind of stuff. It's a revolving door. When they retire, they go back, they get a sweetheart deal with one of the networks. They burnish their resume there. They're a talking head, and I don't see, maybe some of the people that have come from Fox News with not as stellar of a resume to run an organization, but we need to understand that these are large bureaucracies that have a lot of people underneath them, and most of them are figureheads. And, they do set policy, and Trump wants people that are loyal to him. I mean, I think anyone in that position wants someone that's loyal. I didn't see anybody, I didn't see the Biden-Harris administration reach across the aisle and pick, Pete Buttigieg. He was a mayor over the Department of Transportation. I mean, we can go on and on and on about these particular individuals. Let him have the people that he wants, and let's see if maybe some people from the outside can shake things up a little bit. With Elon Musk and his Doge department, there's been a hue and a cry from the bureaucracy that you can't do this and you can't do that. Let's try something. We can't continue to spend like we're spending like drunken sailors and have a viable economy and have a viable country. The issues that we've had at the southern border. I look at these cabinet members. Yeah, they're billionaires, but most of them did it themselves.
Right.
Now, I'm not a Linda McMahon fan, but there's a lady that has achieved a lot in her lifetime, and maybe we need some of that on the public side. Let's bring some of the private industry side into the public sector and clean things up a bit. I was surprised to hear that over 75% of the government employees are still working from home. I was not aware of that. Did anybody else know that? I thought everybody was going back to work.
I didn't know it was that many.
But it was still,
Yeah, it's high.
67, but it was high.
67, yeah. I mean, even 67%. We've got empty buildings in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Expensive.
Expensive buildings. Yeah, we're heating those buildings and everything on a day like today. But
maybe they could move the FBI into one of them.
Yeah, well, I think a president has the opportunity to pick the people he wants in his cabinet. And to be honest with you, I can't remember any cabinet members from Obama, from Reagan, the Biden-Harris, I can't, other than Pete Buttigieg and a couple of them, the gentleman that was, well, whatever. He was, the Surgeon General. You really don't remember who those people are, but let's give, the new president the opportunity to put in place the people, realizing that we need to shake some things up in Washington, D.C., and we can't continue doing what we're doing and expect these different results. Isn't that the definition of insanity? We do the same thing over and over again. When you look at some that have some questionable activities, the process will weed those people out.
Mm-hmm.
If Pete had said, if these things are true, then his mom did go on the air to try to, I guess, bolster his reputation. They're pulling out the mom, and I think he has two Bronze Stars. And I'll tell you, they don't hand out Bronze Stars like candy, guys. That is totally false. It was going around that anybody can get a Bronze Star. False. That is false. The guy earned that medal, and it's not one of those things where you just get it. And then the one picture that they say he's at the 9/11 memorial with the flag and he's in his bathing suit. He just swam like 15 miles or something like that. I mean, it's crazy some of the things that they pull out. But I guess I'm with everybody. I think this is a workable cabinet. Might not agree with all of them, but it is about loyalty. And I think every president deserves the opportunity to have the people that he picks, unless they have these glaring issues. Kristi Noem, I think, I don't have an issue with her. Pam Biondi, I don't have an issue with her. Most of them have some street cred, and I think they'll do well, as a cabinet member. So,
Well,
Right.
And I agree, Brian. I had heard recently that there have only been 2 cases where cabinet members were not pushed through. The thing that's been different is that we haven't had some of these really out there appointments and recommendations, or they have
Right.
dropped out before they ever got to the hearings. So that's why there's only been
Yeah.
2.
yeah,
By the way, the one I didn't mention, and I should have, was Kash Patel. And you mentioned him. By the way, he was the one that's hawking the supplements for the COVID. It wasn't
Yeah.
Kennedy,
Oh.
but it's Kash
But
Patel.
I think one important thing about these people too, I mean, a lot of them have been CEOs or senior level executives, governors. So they are not new to this figurehead leadership kind of role. And yeah, you don't do some of the things that they have all done. Yeah, they've made themselves very, very wealthy. Well, isn't that the American dream? That's what cracks me up. That's what everybody wants, but yet people who don't have it want to bash the people that do and act like there's something wrong with them. I mean, these people are smart, hardworking people with a vision.
yeah.
You don't get to become a governor without that.
Right.
They
They didn't just fall off a truck.
Yeah, and personally, I want a bunch of bureaucrats running the federal government.
Right.
Well,
right.
I don't have I agree with you. I don't have a problem with their being wealthy. And I definitely don't have a problem with those that have experience. I said that about Bondi. I said that about Rubio. The problem I have is those that have absolutely no experience and are really technically not qualified for the job.
Well, but
I think Trump's biggest mistake, though, is he really did not vet all of his nominations like he should have, like normally is done. And now this stuff is coming out, and it's making his recommendations look bad in some cases. If he'd have researched some of these people a little better, or if they had been more open about their past to him, he wouldn't be in the position he is now with these candidates.
I'm not so sure he wouldn't have picked them anyways. I don't think he cares. I'm not sure that would have made a difference.
Well, maybe you think of it this way. Maybe he wants the system, he doesn't have the heart to tell him, hey, listen, I'm not going to pick you, but the system's going to chew this guy up and spit him out and say, hey, I gave it a shot. I gave it a shot. I'm sorry.
I have read that's what that Susie Wiles said is he has a problem telling people no.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Think that?
Trump
you wouldn't think
that. Telling people no.
Yeah, like people
really?
That want to be around him and they want things from him. That he has a heart. She says that's one of his problems. Is that
I thought that was his favorite thing to do.
Oh, on the camera, I think it is.
On The Apprentice,
really, interpersonally, he wants everyone to like him.
And as long as they don't overshadow him, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be interested to see how long this love relationship with Elon Musk goes on.
Yes,
because Musk has done a lot for him, but Musk is always there now with him.
Yeah,
like he's his.
Yeah.
I was two monster egos.
Yeah.
Well, now hold on a second. If you have started a company that shoots rockets in the air and recovers them with 2 chopsticks, you have a right to walk around and talk to the walk. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, even though he has these kind of wacky ideas, the fact of the matter is he's doing things that no one thought ever could be done.
Right.
But
Yeah,
how
More
long
people,
does
more
Trump
people
allow
drive
him?
Teslas. More
But is
people
Trump
drive
going to
Teslas.
allow him to overshadow him? Is the point?
Yeah,
I-
but you know,
If he
the
gets
guy's
too
got
close.
$400 billion, and Trump is he's not stupid, you know.
Oh, no, he wants the
And-
money. Well,
and
and see,
he's
that
pulled-
is the only problem there, though, too, is with Elon Musk, is he has a lot of government contracts. He makes
Yeah.
a lot of that money from the
Yeah.
government.
You
And
got,
putting him-
and the thing is, he has those because the government can't do what he's
What he
doing.
can
Right, but then
He does
putting him in a
things
position
that
where
the
he can
government
make
can't.
policy changes,
Yeah, he may
that
have.
might be an
I
ethical
can see
problem.
a conflict of interest. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get the conflict of interest, but what Elon Musk and Vivek and Mark Andreessen, these people from the tech sector that we all love,
Yeah.
because they bring us things like a cell phone and all this, and all the internet, all that kind of stuff. They're willing to say, "Listen, I'll take some time off. We've got to do something."
Yeah. Yeah. I
this
think the key
bureaucracy.
is going to be if they really can lead and if they can really get a bunch of bureaucrats
Yeah,
to career bureaucrats that work for them, if they
Right.
can get them to change. And I tell you, I think that is a lot harder than people think
yeah.
to make that happen.
My idea is take the Department of Interior, which manages millions of acres of government land in the West, move them to North Dakota.
Right. Well, there's
Move them
been
to
talk.
Wyoming.
I mean, they have talked about why do all these agencies have to be in Washington,
Right.
especially if they don't even come to work.
Right,
You know, come and
exactly.
rent some cheap office space in Ohio.
Right, right. Wyoming would love to have a government complex,
Right.
you know, in Cheyenne or,
Yeah.
or Sheridan, or you know.
Well, listen, folks, Joanna forgot to remind me to start my timer.
Oh, I think we're over.
Oh,
My
are we?
watch tells me we're.
It's 9:27.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the dot. Yep.
Okay, well, really, thank you very much, folks. It was a great
Yep.
session.
Mm.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.